Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Chris, and today we are going to be working over in this section of the city. And so as you can see, a lot of the buildings kind of just continue all the way through to the edge of the table. And even in the front here, it feels like it kind of continues through, but there's this kind of weird gap going on here that I don't know if I totally like. And so in today's video, what the plan is to do is to take the basketball court and move it towards the street here. So we're going to take these 16 by 16 plates and then put it on the other side of the model. And then we can go ahead and start to plan out the rest of this street here, like the other foliage and other things like that, because I want to get the fire brigade in on that gray section right there. And then so we need to figure out the spacing of that and how that's all going to work. So there's quite a bit to do today, so let's jump right in. All right, so I went ahead and I took the two 16 by 16s out just to make my life a little bit easier so we can actually slide all of this over, because this is actually built right on the base plate there. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of Lego surgery here and kind of move it over. And so I don't know how that's gonna go, to be totally honest with you, because this is literally the one spot in the entire city that I can't easily access. So I'm gonna have to either bend over the table or potentially stand on it. I'd rather not stand on it, but if I need to, I can. So I'm going to just get started here, and then we can kind of see how this looks once it's done, or at least partially done, and then we can start to figure out the rest of the buildings over here, because the section here is a little weird because it's a base plate and a half wide, but all of the buildings are only one base plate wide, or deep, I should say. So then you're left with the 16 studs right here, which I don't know if I'm going to be adding foliage like you see here, or if I'm going to be adding something different. So that's what today's video is for, but I'm going to focus on the basketball court first because that is my main priority. So this is what it looks like so far, and so it's kind of a mess at the moment, but I'm just kind of taking everything and shifting it down, and it's not as terrible as I was expecting it to be, but it still kind of hurts my back. But for those of you that missed that video, the basketball court itself is made up of different sections, and so you can see this weird shape here. This is all one piece, and it has the lines in it. And I also went and I tried to add some masonry bricks and also some jumpers in here to help kind of make it look like it's a little bit run down, but it's still usable. And so this section just kind of slides in here, and then that third section just slides in here for the remaining section of this rectangle. And how this is done, it's essentially just using some Lego math. So 5 plates on their side is equal to 2 plates of width on the other direction. So the thing here is 4 studs wide, and it's 10 plates. This section here is 10 plates wide, and then this is 4 studs wide here. So that's the same thing. It's just 5 to 2, and then you multiply that by 2 to get the 10. And so there's that, and I think this is really simple, actually. Once you actually kind of get the hang of it, it's not that bad at all. You just have to remember to put tiles on the edge so that everything is seamless and you don't have the studs sticking out. But this is what the area looks like so far, and I'm probably gonna have to go into the access hole to try and reach this because I can't really reach much further than maybe that right there. So I'm gonna have to move over a little bit and then try to grab the rest of the pieces there. But then once we move that down, then we can move, I think I want to move the police station with it as well, because I really like having that billboard there, and the newsstand, I think that makes some sense right on the edge here. So we're gonna probably move that down, and that'll give us some extra space for a bigger modular building or smaller ones on the other side of it between that and the fire brigade. So with that, let me go ahead and keep working on this, and I'll show you guys any progress that I make. All right, so the basketball court is pretty much all put back together now. It didn't take as long as I had expected it to, which I guess is a good thing. And the only thing left to do is to just move the entrance over as well. I still have to do that. And I'm still debating on if I want to keep all the foliage with it. I'm thinking maybe instead of having the foliage on the right side here, I'll just kind of continue this overgrown grass here. And then on the other side, we can figure out something else. And then as for the other sections here, if we kind of move our way around the rest of the city here so you guys can get a better view, then you can see the other side of the basketball court here, and the mills plate, or I guess the foundation that I had been using, this was where the police station was, but I modified it so that now I can just go ahead and take a 16 by 16 plate and then just put it here, just like that there. And then I can put a second one there. And then the police station is going to be on both of those base plates. And so that it doesn't make a whole lot of sense in terms of the modularity of the place, but I'm not super worried about it, and I think it's going to be fine anyways. So we can go ahead and we can add the police station there, and then that gives us this 16 by 16 and the 8 studs here to make a 24 stud wide building, or 2 smaller ones or something. And then this dark gray base plate right here is for the fire brigade. So we have quite a bit of space to work with here, and we even have 8 studs over here to make another custom building as well. This is just a placeholder for that, and then that is looking pretty good. So with that, I'm going to continue working. I'm actually going to see if I have a couple of dark gray 16 by 16s or even light gray, just to kind of help match with this a little bit, because I think that would look a little bit better than having green in the back here. So let me see what I have, and we can add the police station back and then start to fix up this whole section here and figure out what's going to go there. All right, so the entrance for the basketball court has been moved over, and I got rid of some of the foliage here. I think we can repurpose that elsewhere, or worst case, put it back if I decide that I want it back here. But I think this area is just going to be more of these little green flower pieces kind of coming through here. And then as for over here, you'll notice I took those 2 16 by 16s out. And that is for a reason that I'll talk about in just a second. But first, I want to add the police station back in just to show you guys what that looks like. And then once that's in, I can give you guys a clear plan of what's going to go on in this area right here. All right, so now the police station is in here, and I think that this actually looks pretty good with the billboard on this side here. I think that really helps open it up so you can actually see that billboard, which is always a good thing. And so what I'm going to do in this area here, or at least what the plan is to add a parking spot, or maybe even 2. I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know if it's going to be like you pull in like this, or if you actually pull in 90 degrees, or maybe even a 45-degree angle. I have no idea how that's going to work yet, but that's just my idea at the moment. I definitely don't have enough tiles to do that. I also don't know if I have enough brick to do it as well. I have this parking lot over here, which if you guys haven't seen that video, I'll put that in the top right for you to check that out. I really like how this turned out, but this is, if I'm not mistaken, it's I think 18 or even 20 studs deep, and I only have 16 to work with. So that is unfortunately not going to work. But coming back over to the police station here, you can kind of see the different size of the area that we're working with here. And so I think maybe the 45-degree angle could work. I think that might be the best option, but I don't have enough tiles to do it, and I probably don't have enough brick. I can check, but if we don't have enough brick in this video, then I might just put road plates down, and then we can always revisit this in the future and add the brick in once I get some more, and then we'd also have to add in the white lines as well. So with that, let's go ahead and see what I have in my inventory, and then I'll show you guys all of the options once I've figured it out, and then we can kind of take it from there. All right, so this is my first proof of concept here with this parking lot, and so I might actually have enough brick to make the whole thing, but I have the 16 by 16 pleater just as my depth marker, just to ensure that I'm not going too far or too short, I guess. And so I have this police car here, which is probably what I'm going to end up parking in front of it. And so in front of the police station, I mean, and so I think this would be enough room, even if you move this over a little bit, then that way you can have a sidewalk here, and then you can maybe have it cut in a little bit, because this would all be wasted space unless you put a police motorcycle here, which actually could work now that I'm like thinking about it out loud. But then this would just have to not exceed that line there. So this is kind of my proof of concept at the moment. It's not perfect by any means, but it is definitely something. And so I think this could absolutely work. I just need to continue this, and we're at about the halfway point, because a little bit's over, a little bit is less. And so I think we're actually doing pretty good on space as far as I'm concerned. So let me get back to work on this, and I'll show you guys what I come up with here. I don't know how this is going to work. I'm assuming only two vehicles will be able to fit here, so I'm only going to make 2 spots. But that's kind of what I'm working with right now. So let me go ahead and let me get back to work on this, and I will show you guys what I come up with. All right, so here is what I've got so far. And so as you can see, it is now the full width that it needs to be, because I have a 16 by 16 here and then a 6 by 16 here. That was all I could find. That was 16 studs long that wasn't already in use. So this is essentially what I've come up with here. So I've just been alternating all of these 1 by 2 slopes and then all of these bricks throughout here, and you can see all the seams, so it's pretty straightforward. But I might also, because if you have a car here, that is perfectly fine. I'm fine with this being open here, and then you can just kind of tile around that. And then if you put a car here, then you still have this extra space here. So what I might do, going back to what we talked about earlier, I might add a white line here, and then we could have a little motorcycle spot here. I think that could be pretty neat. And so that is probably what I'm going to do next. But I think this has a decent amount of detail on it. It doesn't need to be super detailed because there's going to be a car on it, at least one on it. And then the slopes here, I know they're not perfectly aligned. Like, you have the little step each time, so you're going to kind of see underneath it, but I don't think that's the end of the world. I think it'll be just fine. So let me go ahead, let me add that white line in. I have a couple of white plate left, so I might be able to fix that up, but we'll see if I have the right combination of pieces for that, and then hopefully I do, and then we can add the dark gray plate in, just so it lines up with the brick structure, and then we can go ahead and test fit this in the city and see how it all looks. All right, so this is what it looks like in the city, and it doesn't look that great right now, but that's because we have to round out the edges and make everything look a little bit better. But the cars do fit in here, and so if you put one like this, you can see that it doesn't really stick out into the road, so the other cars can still pass by. So that's all good, and then same goes for this spot here. It is a little cramped to get into this spot here, but it is possible, so I guess that is good. So maybe I'll just have the car displayed over here, and then we can kind of just ignore that, because I don't want to rip this one out too, and then that's going to kind of just start bleeding into all the other spots. So I'm going to just leave this as it is. I think it's fine, and then we can go ahead and fix all this up. So let me go ahead, grab some tiles here, and then try and find some good plates to help round out all of these corners here, and then we can see what this looks like once it's filled in. All right, so some time has passed since that last clip, and I have been struggling to figure out how to do this here, but I think I finally come up with something that works. And so as you can see, this line of slopes is down here, and this is just sitting in here pretty freely. I did have to add a couple of extra bricks and plates on this corner here just to fill that in a little bit, and you can even see a little bit of a gap down here. But if you shift this over, then that solves that problem. So that is totally fine with me. And then up here, I have these wedge plates on both sides. I was originally only going to do one, but I didn't think that looked that great, so I'm keeping it on both sides here. The vehicle does still fit, so I guess that's good. And even if you don't have it pulled in all the way, it does stick out just a tiny bit. So not super worried about it. You could also put it here, but again, it sticks out a tiny bit. So it's not the end of the world. I think with the space limitations that I have, this is totally fine. And I keep hitting all of this stuff over here. I had to remove the top floors of these buildings because I kept reaching over and knocking stuff off the top of them. But I went ahead and I added these 2x10 plates on the sides with these angled plates as well, just to help match the other corners that I have in the city. I could round this out, but I think that the angle is nice. That, plus everyone else in their cities does a corner, so I wanted mine to be a little bit different with the angles. So I think it works, and it doesn't take up that much space because these pieces are so small here. So this just sits on the corner like that, and then I just need to go in and grab some tiles and finish this out, and then we can kind of have this come down the side here in case people want to walk from the police station or the newsstand over to the basketball court, again, as I keep hitting everything. But I think this works for me. This looks pretty good. And so let's go ahead and put some tiles down to help finish this area out, and then we can see what this looks like once it's pretty much done. All right, so this is what it's looking like now, and I think this looks tremendous. I am extremely happy with this. So as you can see, the parking lot itself hasn't really changed. It can still fit the 2 vehicles. And so there is the first one, and then the second one would be right about there. And so I think that works for me. It's not perfect by any means, but with the space that I have allocated for this, I think it works. And then you'll notice that the edge of the sidewalk curves around this way, or it's more of an angle, but same idea. And I have the corner tiles here, the cut tiles throughout here, and I don't have any in light gray yet. So once I get those in light gray, I will be sure to add those in there, and also over on the angled road as well. I still need to do that, but I think this is looking great. I am extremely happy with how this whole area is looking. And I added a bunch of studs throughout here to help try and populate this, and I will be doing that. But the area itself, the tiling isn't perfect, unfortunately, but that's just kind of how it is. And so I think it looks pretty good, all things considered here. And then this light gray is going to be probably like a planter or something with foliage in it, just to help kind of break up this area here, because the building wouldn't start until about here anyways. So that's pretty much that there. But I think this is looking really good. I am very happy with this. This is where we're going to wrap up today's video. And so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like it and subscribe, as well as turn on the bell notifications so you don't miss any future uploads, like when we come back and work on those custom buildings there. If you guys have any feedback for me on anything else you want me to add to this area, and also what these different buildings could be here, make sure to drop your comments down below to let me know. But once again, seriously, thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye for now.